Right, hello, lads and lasses, and welcome back to Boys Down Under, where I know, we did another one of these videos yesterday, but there have been a heap more Celtic stories and a lot more of interesting news that may have gone under the radar. So we're going to cover that today. Before we go any further, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to help support the channel grow, and I'd forever be appreciative of you guys if you did that. But without further ado, let's get into it. So you guys know how this works. I've got a bunch of, stories here and there that we're going to cover. I think it's 3 today, but in no particular order. The first story is in regards to Celtic CEO, new CEO official, Michael Nicholson, someone a lot of the support is not very fond of, as is with the rest of the board. However, Ange appears to be a very big supporter of Nicholson and has heaped a lot of praise on him. So, as we all know, recently Celtic have been bombarded with fixtures, and to make matters worse, we've been bombarded with injuries. So, this means Ange has been working absolutely tirelessly in getting results and being able to play the best possible team. However, what this does mean is that he's had to cut back on his input in the transfers and had to cut back a bit on that because he hasn't got the time. There's only 24 hours in a day to be able to, help Celtic stay competitive while also looking at the January transfer window. So what has he done? He's delegated, well, not really delegated, but Nicholson has taken over the role of that. And I'll give you guys the full quote here so you understand what I'm talking about. We've been working really hard on this window for quite a while. We knew it would be a crucial one, and it is not an easy one. To be fair, the January window. It's not one where you really want to do too much because there is sometimes a desperation around it in terms of the business. So we set our task early on that. Irrespective of how the first half of the year went, we knew what targets we wanted. We knew what kind of players. So that's firstly Ange talking about how he wants specific players in his team, and they've identified them early on rather than waited to the last minute. Then he goes on to say, and he, Michael, has been the driving force behind it because, as you can appreciate, with the games we have had, I had to focus on making sure that we were competitive on the field. He's taken the lead on that, and he's been working awfully hard in the background to make sure we get what we need done. And that's him basically saying that Michael Nicholson has taken over the full reins of the transfers and being the driving force and making sure that Celtic get the players they want and aren't scrambling at the end of the window for squad depth. Now, who are we talking about? Specifically, it's the 3 Japanese players because those are players because the Japanese season is done. They're probably the easiest to sign this window, but Ange still wanted to make sure there was no stone left unturned. He wanted to make sure we got the deals done as quick as possible and not delaying that. Because at the end of the day, even if it is Nicholson doing all the work with these transfers, there's no point bringing in players that don't suit Ange's system or Ange doesn't want at the club. It's all good to buy players for depth, but if they're not going to actually really affect the team that much, why bring him in at all? So there's one more quote. I'm sorry for all the quotes, but they're very important, and this one is short. The reason Ange believes things are going so smoothly with these transfers, all the rumours that they already have completed the medicals, the 3 Japanese stars, is, according to Ange, it's because our visions are aligned. And that is great to hear, not from a fan's perspective, especially during a rebuild season, new manager, the team is basically completely new. We've had, the board has been restless, we've had all of the issues with Bernard Higgins. So it's great to hear that Ange believes that his visions are aligned with that of Michael Nicholson and that with the rest of the club. So yeah, I'm very, very pleasing story, and it's a great one to hear that can, reassure fans that Michael Nicholson's doing a good job as the CEO. As for the rest of the board, we're not so sure on that one. Sorry, still sick. Moving on, former Celtic player, I guess technically he was a former Celtic player. I don't really know if you could ever really consider him a Celtic player, but it is what it is. Kundai Benyu. Yeah. Remember him? That's a blast from the past. Well, today he has taken fire at Celtic, and more specifically, Brendan Rodgers for a lack of fair chances, as he calls it, at Celtic. He says so the story is Rodgers called him personally to sign him to Celtic at the start of the 2017-2018 season. However, from that period on, Rodgers never gave him a fair chance to break into the first team. Now, Benyu says that he had been working hard in training and was one of the best trainers at the club and one of the best players at the club. I don't know I don't know what he was on while he was at Celtic, but it is what it is. And the quote is that he never got a fair chance to play. So what he said specifically was, I believe in my ability and I was better than some people, but it didn't matter what I did in training. Certain players would still get the nod ahead of me. If I said something, people would say I had a bad attitude, but I just wanted to play and to show what I could do. I have no regrets, but a lot was promised that wasn't delivered. Now look, I'm a big believer in giving players the opportunity, the players who work really hard in training, because as the saying goes, you play as you train, and if you train hard, you're going to play hard. But look, Kundai he was 19, 20 years old, that season in a team that was so dominant. Really, what did he expect, Playing in a midfield that consisted of Scott Brown, our captain, Callum McGregor, Nia Baton, Stuart Armstrong, Olivier Incham, Tommy Rogic. We were stacked. We were stacked in the midfield. We had a lot of depth in that midfield. And Kundai Benyu, along with Ibu Kawasi, they were both fringe players. They were young. They never really were going to get into the starting lineup, but it was because it was jam packed. We had so much quality in that midfield under Brendan Rodgers. And, even in the opportunities he got, Benyu, he showed he had a lot of opportunity, a lot of promise. I remember thinking he was going to be a future star for Celtic. However, look, it was a great move for the player. But look, at the end of the day, it just happened at a very, very wrong time. If it was the same situation and he signed for this season, I think he would be playing much more regularly. But it is what it is, unfortunately for him, it happened at the wrong time. But I can't remember exactly where he's playing right now. I think it's in Sweden or something, but hopefully his career's going off well. Yeah, but that is the story. Interesting to hear that Brendan Rodgers showed a lot of favoritism to his players. I thought that was an interesting story when I woke up this morning. But moving on, and we have received some very positive news regarding Karamoko Dembele. As we are all surely aware by now, Karamoko has been injured since early August from a horror pre-season tackle, two-footed tackle, cowardly, some would say. I'm sorry for the emphasis, but it has to be heard. He got injured in a pre-season match from a two-footed coward tackle. It was absolutely shocking. I don't know. It was poor. It was such a poor tackle and a poor young Karamoko, but he had surgery on it. He's been going through the rehab. But finally, something has gone his way, and it's a great news for the lad and for us fans. He is set to return to first team training next week, to a fortnight before schedule. And look, it is a welcome return, considering the depth we have in the front three, considering how injury prone our front three is, considering how our wide players really, apart from our backup wide players, are not the best, It is a welcome return. Karamoko, 18 years old, he's the perfect player you want returning from injury, especially heading into the back end of the season. He's got flair, he's got pace, he's got skill, he's got dribbling. He's like a Jota, but for the right-hand side, just not Portuguese and, not Portuguese. I'd go as far as to say, having Karamoko back in the team is almost like a new signing. We've rarely seen him in a Celtic jersey, rarely seen him playing for the first team. It's basically a new signing if you look at it that way. And I'm sure he's a player Ange would love to have back in the team. He provides that quality depth. And, he's such a promising young lad. His potential is through the roof, the future's bright. And look, whether his future does lie at Celtic and he does sign a contract extension, or whether his future lies at a different club and he leaves after this season, I think we might as well get the best. We might as well get the best out of him for this last back end of the season. And if he does well and wants to stay, I'd say keep him, because he is a very, very valuable player to have. And like I said, 18 years old, The potential for him, he's got, his future is limitless. But that is all from me. So, you know, just some quick stories today, 3 stories, some that may have gone under the radar, some I thought would be interesting for you guys. But I am still so bloody sick, I hate it. Anyways, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, hail, hail.